This is the Dark Shadow of Light, and you're watching my Let's Play of Sonic Heroes. In the last episode we finished Team Sonic's story, and in this episode we begin a new game mode. We've done story, challenge, and we did the tutorial with Team Rose. We've done everything in one-player mode, almost, except for the super hard mode, which we will begin now.
Clear super hard mode and become a true hero!
A true hero. I might be interested in that. Now we're going to start. The super hard mode is basically, as the name implies, a super hard or a hardened version of each stage that you must complete using Team Sonic. Now, it is, as I said, a game I've mentioned it several times. Is this the game mode featuring them exclusively that I mentioned? And this is also what I was referring to when I put the story arc in the last episode. And you see we have a bit of a stage change, and the stage didn't look like this when we were doing it with Team Sonic. Well, that's the thing, with the super hard mode they changed the stage. So down here you come down the dashboard, taking out wrong. Nope, there's a wide spring and a path of rings. So basically they decided to challenge you by arranging the stage and restructuring it in some areas, and that you'll have to do something different to progress from what you'd had to do in the story or extra missions. So this is considerably more difficult than even Team Dark's story. So if you're not very good at doing Team Dark's missions, then you probably shouldn't try the super hard mode, because it's, as I said, exceptionally hard. Now, let's see, a story arc. At the end of the last episode, I put this would be a story arc. Now, arc, as applied in the way that I used it, is basically when a curve of sorts from the mainstream. So basically, what that means is it's when you take a detour, something that doesn't progress the story or anything like that, but it still takes place. And there's no checkpoint down here. There was in the story. And you also what you've noticed by now is that they've put enemies in places that there weren't enemies before, and more of them have shields. You'll see that a lot of the enemies have shields, and most likely these videos are going to end up being longer than they're supposed to be, because I'm probably, or most likely, going to end up stopping the fight most of the enemies. It's not really something I can help. I feel basically inclined to fight, so just something you'll have to get used to. So basically, you have to go through each non-boss stage. So you have to go through each non-boss stage with Team Sonic. This game mode doesn't use any other team. It just uses Team Sonic, as they are basically the main team for this game, being the main characters of not just this game, but other games in the series. So as I said, this is all non-boss stages. There will be no story cutscene. This is just you going through basically a stage gauntlet of each of the 14 stages, and I got hit by the bobsled. Excuse me, I got hit by the spike. So there should be a dashboard down here, but nope. And another thing that I'm going to mention here is that you saw that path of rings leading to the giant rings. Basically, what they've done for the super hard mode is that they've reorganized some parts of stages in such ways that you have to use the light dash to substitute for dashboards, and that were usually there. So another thing that I have to say by using the light dash is that you have to lean the you have to push the analog stick forward while doing the light dash, so that when you're finished you'll have enough momentum to move forward to get to the giant rings or whatever's there. Because if you just do the light dash without doing anything with the analog stick, and I just got hit with that spike, didn't mean for that to happen, but well, good thing Fly Formation is level 3, because it collects rings by using Thunder Shoot when it's level 3. Anyway, what was I saying? If you don't push the analog stick forward while doing the light dash, you won't have enough momentum, and you'll end up falling most of the time off the stage. So the way this is organized is that I'm going to basically show 3 super hard stages for every video, and that means that the 5th video will only have 2 because there are only 14 stages, and after the first 4 I will have shown 12. So Egg Fleet and Final Fortress will get their own Egg Fleet and Final Fortress will get their own video, which is understandable as they can be the longest stages. Another thing is that you see there aren't any question marks, so basically, well, because when you do the super hard mode, you're pretty much given as few hints as possible. You're simply put in a stage and you have to figure out, you have to either figure out or know how to get through it. So you're, like I said, you're given little help, because by the time you get to super hard mode, you're supposed to already know pretty much everything about the game. Because super hard mode, I forgot to mention this, in order to unlock super hard mode, you have to complete each story mission and each extra mission and each boss, and you have to get A's on all of them. So in this game there are a total of 141 missions that you can get A's on, and of those 140 missions there will be 120 emblems, which you need to unlock all of the 2-player modes for this game. Let's see. And down here we have the second bobsled segment of this stage, and as you can see by the time, it's taking me longer to finish the super hard mode version than it took to finish the normal one. If I were doing the normal stage, I could have had this finished by now, but I probably even could have had it finished by now, but in the super hard mode. But as you guys saw, and as I said I would do, I've ended up stopping to fight most of the enemies. It's a habit, and you'll have to get used to that in future games that I let's play that have enemies to fight. You could say I'm a warrior of sorts, and that I won't really run away from a challenge. So, basically, even though it's not necessary, even though I could just run past all of these guys, I'm stopping to fight them. It's just something I don't feel satisfied without doing. So up here we have the wide spring, and followed by the dashboard, and the goal ring is right there. I could use Team Blast here, but it would be faster video-wise to just destroy them manually. So in the super hard mode missions, you are not ranked. You're not ranked on time or ring merit, or excuse me, point merit, anything like that. You're not given a rank, you're not given a score, nothing like that. The only thing that matters is that you get through the stage. The next stage is Ocean Palace. Super hard. Now, as you've seen, there will be a red outline around the edge of the screen, and it'll say super hard. It won't give you a mission.
A sea palace.
Looks like Eggman's robots are here too.
I'm ready to take them out.
And so am I. Now, what was I just about to say? I was going to say something. Crap, I don't remember. I did, but then I decided to stop talking so that. Oh yeah, another structure change, that there wasn't a ring here. There weren't, as you just saw, there weren't the 3 rings that were there during the story mode. And I just remembered what I was going to say. Oh right, there are no keys in these stages, because as I've already said, there's nothing extra in the stages. The only thing that matters, the only thing there is just you, the stage, and that's it. There are no keys, no bonus stages, no chaos emeralds, nothing like that. The only thing you have to do is get through the stages. Pretty easy, right? You got a sweet deal. Well, you didn't, because they purposely made this stage. They purposely made this stage and every other stage more difficult. And as I said, if you can't do Team Dark's missions, then you probably shouldn't try this either, because this is harder than even Team Dark's missions. And as you've seen, as you might have seen so far, it takes some similarities as the Team Dark's stage structure, but basically takes it up a level. And as I said before, it's going to take longer to finish these stages because I'm going to end up stopping to fight most of these enemies. So I didn't show this during the story. I didn't show that part. I always went to the upper route, but this time I went to the lower route. Something I decided I would do so that just just for the sake of showing as much as possible in this game. Now up here, upcoming, a little more difficult, is You see those robots with the spikes? Well, see, that's one of the differences too. They've replaced in a lot. You'll see that in a lot of places that there were a lot of places that didn't have these in the normal versions of the stages. There will be not only robots that you'll have to use the homing attack to chain across, but you'll see that there will be at least one robot in the group, most commonly at the beginning of the set or the group, that will be one of those spike robots that will challenge you in such that you'll have to time your homing attacks, because if you get it wrong, you'll obviously fall off the stage or fall and be inconvenienced by having to take a longer route.
Look at all those Eggman robots.
I'll take care of them.
And the thing here is that level 3 fly formation will be very important, at least while doing the super hard mode, because as I said before, and as you've seen the early points during the Let's Play, while fly formation is level 3, their Thunder Shoot the Thunder Shoot ability will attract rings, and that'll be important because if I lose rings, I'll need to recover them quickly, and the best way to do that is with level 3 fly formation. And as I said in episode 8 of this Let's Play, once you get hit, it doesn't matter how many rings you have, the most you'll be able to get of those rings you had is 20. So here is, here are a couple of enemies easily taken care of. Another thing that'll be important is level 3 speed formation, because as you've seen throughout this Let's Play, I use the speed formation the most. And the reason I do that is because once speed formation is level 3, it can, that formation alone can easily take care of most enemies, while still allowing for quick progression through the stage. If I had to choose a formation that I prefer, it would probably be speed formation. Even though I don't have anything against the other formations, it's just the one that I use the most. Now, this Team Blast would have more appropriately been used here, because if I'd gone up to where that fan is and then used the Team Blast, I would have destroyed not only the enemies I just destroyed by using light speed attack, I would have destroyed these too. It would have been more time efficient, but I didn't think to do that. And as I said, no question marks to tell you about anything. You should already know about this stuff, as I said. And it doesn't seem to be too difficult at first, but as you go on, it gets more difficult. So, let's see, as I said, I'm going to show three super hard missions for each episode. And that's why I said, excuse me, what did I say? Yeah, in the update video, that's why I said that there will be 6 episodes left of the Let's Play, this being one of those 6, and then it will be over. Now, some of you who are more familiar with the game may have noticed that I did something a little fancy here, or something a little irregular with the editing, because as I said, those of you that are familiar with the game may know that there's something you're supposed to be able to do before you do the super hard mode that I didn't show. This is what I was talking about earlier, where they'll have those spike robots at the beginning of the chains that you'll have to get by in order to progress. If I'd messed up there, I would have failed. And here's a switch that will trigger a ring path that you can use light dash along, and that's why I said earlier to push the analog stick forward. I didn't do that well enough there, and that's why I fell down. I would have already made it to the next area of the stage if I'd gotten that right, but nope. And here you'll see the stages, they're still recognizable as these stages. Fortunately, what they didn't do is they didn't rearrange the order in which you have to do the stages, because if they'd done that, then it might have been trouble. Because the way I just thought about it is that you have it's like you start. Like I said earlier, it progressively gets more difficult as you go along. So it'll start you off with the easier stages and then move up in difficulty. And if you saw, there was formation change gate and among that path of dashboards, that is that your formation would automatically be changed to speed, so that you would be able to get through this more easily. This part of the stage is pretty much the same. It's no different from how it was in the story, and it's just as easy to get through. But here at the end, there are enemies Now get used to that, because in places that there weren't enemies, like near the goal ring, and some stages during the story mode, there weren't enemies there, but there will be enemies blocking the goal rings, and, well, not blocking, but there will be, enemies where the goal rings are, in the super hard, stages, so that, you'll be slowed down. Not that the time it takes you to complete these missions matters, but that's something you'll have to take note of. So the next stage will be, excuse me, Grand Metropolis. It'll be the last one I show for this episode. Super hard, and then we will move on to Power Plant in the next episode. So as you guys have already guessed, if you guys have already figured out, every 2 videos will showcase 2 zones, right? No, excuse me, 2 videos will show 3 zones.
So that's energy flowing through those red pipes.
And here there are enemies here. Now I think those are a bit awkwardly placed, because if you didn't get any of those rings, you could easily if you don't get any of those rings in the beginning, you could easily end up losing a life as soon as the stage begins. And in super hard mode, you cannot afford to lose lives. In super hard mode, you want to get as many lives as possible and use as few lives as possible, because I was saying in the story mode, I said several times during the story for this team, that the amount of lives you got with that team during story mode didn't matter, and the reason for that is because when you start the super hard mode, regardless of how many lives you had during the story, your life counter will be set to 3. Technically 4, because 0 counts as a life in this game. That's another thing they did to make things more challenging. You start off with a minimal number of lives, and you have to work your way up. You won't be getting 99 lives during a super hard mode, but there will be 1-ups placed here and there to help you, and you'll definitely want to get as many of them as possible, especially if you're not very skilled at super hard mode. And of course, those boxes didn't need to be destroyed, but I did anyway. And in here, in this room here, there are 2 power cores for speed formation, which means I'll be able to get the next checkpoint with either fly or power formation. And here's another wide spring light dash combo that replaces a wide spring. And if you didn't hold the analog stick forward there, you'd end up falling off the stage. Pretty annoying way to lose a life. But I guess the point is to challenge you, to challenge your skills. You're not really, you can be skilled at the story and with the extra missions and still be bad at the normal missions. So don't become overconfident simply because you're able to easily do the story and the extra missions, because it can be possible that you can be good at those but absolutely terrible at the super hard mode. And you can see here that we actually have to destroy these enemies, and we didn't have to do that in story mode. We only had to destroy the enemies that were there, and now we have level 3 fly formation, which means that collecting rings will be, recovering rings will be easier. I'm not going to fight these enemies, I'm just going to use light dash, one of the few occasions on which I'm actually going to skip a fight, but I'm not going to make a habit of doing that. And you have to wait, because you have to wait for that path there. You have to wait for the spikes, spikes in the road to retract. And if you were paying attention closely enough, you would have seen that there was one of those switches above the door. In the story, they were on either side of the door. This is one of many structure changes they've made to the stages in super hard mode. Now, excuse me, I'm not really one to complain, but it seems that during this kind of recording session that my voice is being, I'm straining my voice sort of. It seems that my throat is slightly aching. If I talk too much, I might end up losing my voice or something like that. But that doesn't. You don't worry about that. And by the way, if while I was talking there it sounded like my voice was muffled slightly, it's because I put my hand in front of my face while I was talking, so I didn't have a specific reason, I just did it. So, the level 3 power formation final hit for Knuckles will be very useful for taking out large groups of enemies, especially if they have shields. You'll see all 3 types of shields. You'll have the thin metal shield, the stone shield, and the spike shield, as you saw. Now each shield has a different quality or a different trait, like the metal shield. It's basically the most exquisite, I suppose you could say. The stone shield is the most durable, and the spiked shield is the most protective from head-on attacks. Now, I think that switch opened the door and activated the pole that you may notice shrinking down if my voice isn't drowning that out. So up we go on this pole, and here we're moving close to what would be the final stretch of the story stage, but as we are as this is the super hard mode, that's not the case. So don't waste your time with these with the normal ones. As you've seen, if you're there, as you've seen, and will have probably picked up by this point in the Let's Play, when you see groups of enemies accompanied by Gold Robot, you want to go after the Gold Robot first because that robot is the leader. Now let's see, there was something I was going to say, but I forgot what that was. Let's see, something that was interrupted by what I said about the gold robots. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember quite what that was. So let's see, you just use the homing attack on that. With a little spring here. Now there are two methods to do this: either use fly formation and destroy the enemies, or you could use homing attack. And if you decide to use homing attack, that's why the dashboard is there. Now you see, the stage didn't look like this, or the story mode for Team Sonic, and the dashboard took us not to the path, but to the rings. And I just ran off the path there. Good thing I was able to land back on it. Something I mentioned during the Team Dark run of this stage is that you want to be careful while doing that part, because it is possible for you to run off the path. Because I think I'm not sure whether or not I said this earlier during the Let's Play, but one thing that Sonic games are known for is the glitches that can occur while the glitches and irregularities that can occur while playing the game. Doesn't mean you're playing a defect. It's just there's sometimes you can get glitched, and as you see, the stage looks completely different. It didn't at the end of the stage. It's completely different. It didn't look anything like this during the story mode, not even for Team Dark. But that's why this is super hard mode. They challenged you. They changed the stage, and I just said, if you're not skilled with Team Dark, or if you're not very skilled with this game, you shouldn't really be trying super hard mode. Now we're relatively close to the end of the stage after we get rid of these guys and take down and get the brutes that fall down. The final stretch is just up ahead. Now you see, I'll be using speed formation rather than power formation to get rid of most of the enemy shields, because speed formation is, better suited for getting rid of enemy shields, because either a tornado or a level 3 homing attack can get rid of the shields quite easily. Now I meant to go through the giant ring, but that didn't happen because I didn't get enough height. But that doesn't matter, the gold ring is right there. So that concludes this episode of my Let's Play of Sonic Heroes. In the next episode we will continue Team Sonic's Super Hard Mode. We will continue the Super Hard Mode starting with Power Plant. This has been the Dark Shadow of Light, and I will see you all in time.